Good afternoon and welcome to Community Candor. This is our financial education series with PNC. And today we are going to be talking about retirement planning. Great information and resources will be shared today. Let me start by introducing myself, Renee Kent, VP and Director of Special Projects for Communities First. I will serve as the moderator today. And just a quick introduction to Communities First. We are a nonprofit organization whose mission is to build healthy, vibrant communities through economic development, affordable housing, and innovative programming, and providing information and resources and knowledge building tools to the community is so important in the work that we do. So we're very excited to have PNC as a partner in that effort, bringing this information and resources and these resources to the community. If you've missed any of our other sessions, please take a look at our LinkedIn and Facebook social media sites, and you can pull up those previous videos where we shared additional financial education tools. So today we have with us two representatives from PNC, Ms. Martin and Mr. Little, and I'd like to give them the floor to provide an introduction. So go ahead, Ashley. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Ashley Martin, branch manager, PNC Bank. Been with the bank about 12 years now. I'm excited to present today very important information regarding retirement, because I believe that we all need to grab the horns of our own retirement plan and do it ourselves. So I'm excited to share this information and get any feedback.
Thank you. We're excited to hear what you have to say. And Mr. Little, would you mind introducing yourself?
Sure, thank you. My name is Antoine Little, Organizational Financial Wellness Consultant with PNC. I've been with PNC for 4 years, but overall in the financial services industry for over 20 years. So happy to be here and talk about retirement readiness.
And this is such a timely discussion because when you are getting ready to retire, that's probably a little late to be thinking about retirement planning. You should be thinking about retirement planning way before retirement is even on the horizon, when you get your first job even. So I'm so glad that we have you both here to talk with us and share some resources. We're going to go ahead and jump into this discussion. And so let's go ahead and bring the presentation up on the screen. Today, we're going to cover resources available to ease what could seem like an overwhelming process. And before we start that, just a quick reminder, you'll see it pop up on the screen like just now, and you'll also see it in the chat section. We have a survey. So if you're tuning into this, please complete that survey. That lets us know if you found this information helpful and what other topics you might be interested in us covering. And we usually do a drawing for those that submit the survey. So don't forget about the survey. Also, if there are any questions, because we are live, we will answer those. So put them in the chat. We'll be looking for them and we will answer them throughout the presentation. So let's go ahead and get the presentation up so we can get started in this discussion. And I'll turn the floor over.
Thank you, Renee. So as Renee stated, this is a very timely piece of information, giving things that are currently happening around us. And retirement is something that should be considered right away as soon as you enter the workforce. I don't know about anyone else, but I don't plan on working the rest of my life. So retirement is something that you should start planning at the very first paycheck. We all have things that we save for. We all have goals, and retirement should be on the top of that list. If we could get to the next slide, please. So during this workshop, we're going to examine some of the factors that you should consider um, as to why, the who, what, when, where, why. Learn how to kind of estimate your retirement expenses, identify the savings and planning strategies, or create some for yourself that's more personable. Compare the types of retirement plans that are available to you, and then obviously set some goals for your retirement savings. Next slide. Okay, so we have our first poll because we kind of got to get a gauge as to where we're standing. I don't know, are the polls live, Renee?
You can go ahead and ask, and we'll share any of the comments that come through.
Okay. So this is a yes or no. And a few of the questions is, have you started saving for retirement? Have you even thought about a retirement plan? Have you already enrolled in retirement savings with a past employer or your current employer? Or do you know what's in your retirement accounts? A lot of people kind of set it and forget it. And they don't even know where they stand or what their retirement is invested in. So if we have any answers from that.
And I'm so glad that you brought this up because many employers do offer retirement savings plans and even matches.
Right.
And it's unfortunate that there are a lot of folks that aren't participating just because they're unaware. And so it's so important to have those conversations with your employer to understand what's available and make sure that you get signed up. And if any additional comments come in, we'll share those.
Awesome. All right. Well, let's go ahead to the next slide there. So, considering retirement, you've entered into the workforce, and after about the first 6 months, you realize, do I want to do this for the next 60 years of my life? Most of us would say no. So, things to think about, to factor in when you're doing retirement planning: the income that you're currently making and that you project to make, any of the expenses that you currently have in life, whether that be a family planning or housing. Where do you want to end up in your retirement? Is it a different state? Your health concerns are a big part of retirement. We all want to retire when we're healthy enough to travel, right? But if that doesn't happen, what plan do we have in place? And then taxes, there's pre-tax and post-tax. Most time when you are contributing to employer ran retirement 401k, it's before tax. So there's going to be tax ramifications. And some of those happen at certain ages. So we want to make sure we're considering all of those things when we're thinking about retirement. Next slide, please. Questions to ask yourself: when do you want to retire? So if you are a high earner and you save a bulk of your income throughout your career, would that put you at an earlier retirement age? How long do you want your retirement to last? If you retire at 60, do you want at least 40 years of coverage that take you to 100 in age? Obviously, again, with your income. And then if you know where you want to retire and the lifestyle that you want to have, how much money will you need to sustain that lifestyle?
Ashley, can I jump in real quick?
Please.
I would certainly, I love these questions because a lot of times we think, when do we expect to retire? And sometimes that retirement can come a little bit earlier or later based on life events that will happen. And that's why it's so important that we think about these questions as early as possible. And not only that, how long do you want your retirement to last you? That's a very important question. Reason being, because many times we know those people that retire later, for whatever reason that may be, and they may not live that long. But keep in mind that with medical technology, we're actually living much longer. And the rule of thumb is that we should plan for a retirement of at least 20 to 30 years, if not more. And
Yeah,
I'll
and
turn it back to you, Ashley.
thank you. And to touch on that, going back to what Antoine said, sometimes people are put in retirement and that wasn't their plan. So, and it could be health driven. So, you talk about prescription drugs, emergency care, surgeries, insurance. So, all those things are still have to be covered and planned for as well. Next slide, please. So, a couple rule of thumbs when you are talking about and thinking about retirement. When you save money for your retirement, aim to have at least 70% of your income available to you each year of your retirement. Cost of living goes up, inflation, you want to be able to adjust to that. And then you can also adjust your retirement savings goals or increase them for your monthly savings to reach your goals. So halfway through your career, you see that I don't know if I'm going to meet my goal. You will want to talk with your financial advisor or find one and say, this is where I'm at and this is where I want to go. Should I increase? Next slide, please. So this is in the guide that will be available. And these are some things that you just want to sit and think about and write down. A plan written down is a plan that can be executed. So longevity, a lot of people are living a lot longer nowadays. And then income, a lot of people have more than one stream of income nowadays too. So they're able to meet their goals faster. And then using that rule of thumb, you want to do the calculations and write into those blank spaces what you come up with and then get an estimated total cost of retirement. Next slide, please.
And I just wanted to share quickly for those that are tuning in. There is a very nice resource guide that Ashley and her team have provided. And so when you fill out that survey, we'll make sure that that gets sent to you. So just a reminder of that.
Thank you, Renee. So value of time. If you would have told me this 10 years ago, I would have believed you, but had I taken it more serious, I would have did different things. So I started working when I was 15, and had I knew about retiring and being able to do what I wanted to do younger in life, I would have perked up and listened more. But as this chart shows, starting even at the age of 18 and going all the way to 58, you could see how someone could easily, with dedication and a plan, grow their monies upward to the hundreds of thousands to set aside for retirement, because some pensions are still out there and a lot of people, my senior, have those, but companies are doing different things with retirement for their employees. So you want to make sure that you are banking on yourself to set yourself up to be comfortable later in life. So do that at any age, but the younger, the better. And then also teach the younger ones that you may know.
Ashley, there's another thing I would add as well, because the earlier you start, you have more time on your side to let your money compound for you. No
Correct.
matter what life stage you're in, you're feeling like you work hard for that money but by putting that time on your side to let that money compound for you on tax deferred, or that interest earns additional interest and so forth. And in the coming slides, we'll show you more examples of that as well. But letting time be one of your best friends as well by starting savings earlier and investing for the long term, which is your future.
Correct. So if we could go to the next slide, please. Exactly what Antoine was talking about, the value of compound interest. So as you see here, what that can do over time for you, just starting out, just with a small amount, growing that, but over time, that interest will compound and in some situations, double or triple your value. Anything to add to that, Antoine?
Absolutely. What this slide is not showing you is that the person starting at the age of 18, saving for retirement, and let's say their goal was to accumulate $600,000 at retirement, which means they would have to save approximately $12,000 a year to reach that goal. But by starting earlier, and which means you would save about $2,000 annually and letting that compound for you over time. As you can see, not only are you reaching that goal of $600,000 by the time you're in retirement, but exceeding it because you have that compound interest. In this example, we're assuming an interest rate of return of 6%. Which also goes to show you, on the other hand, a lot of times I run into people that'll say, well, I have time. I'll wait a little bit later to start saving for retirement. But what that's not showing you is that if you wait later, you have to save more annually to make up for that lost time. So, again, like we said on the previous slide, time can be your best friend when it comes to saving for retirement. And I'll turn it back over to you, Ashley.
Thank you. And on the flip side of that, if that person wanted to continue to keep waiting later, let's say 50, in order to reach that goal of 600,000, that person would need to save at least $35,000 a year to reach that goal. So once again, double the amount of which you would need to start saving at a younger age. Next slide, please. So here we have an example of a woman's retirement plan. So invested $100 into her retirement account. Since then, she has contributed $50 per month to an account that earns about 10% interest. A lot of people I know would just love that interest rate right there, which compounds annually. So we have to decide which chart best describes how her money will grow over the next 40 years. So chart A shows an example of $270,000 in growth. And then chart B illustrates and does not reflect the actual investment and only gets her $24,000. So if she was just to save $100, gaining no interest over a time period, she would only end up with $24,000. However, the power of compound interest at 10%, she would get 270,000 over the 40 years. So another
just clarification, Ashley, chart B shows savings under the mattress and chart A shows savings in using actual investment tools that earn interest. And you're going to talk a little bit later about what some of those tools are, right?
Correct. So you simply put saving under the mattress and then actually removing that money and doing something with it. So we can go ahead to the next slide. Okay, so like we said in the beginning, a lot of people have a lot of different revenue incomes nowadays. So one of those are personal savings, employer sponsored retirement plans. Some people are still banking on Social Security, investments, and other sources. So, on average, the average retired American has at least three different means to pull from during their retirement. Some have pension, 401k, personal savings. Others have investments, Social Security, and maybe a pension. So it's a pool of different incomes that people have now to support their everyday living. I would also note that setting and forgetting is a great way. Renee mentioned earlier, and we'll get into that, about employers matching what you save. If anything, that is one of the biggest ways that you can almost double your savings because it's free money. No one should turn down free money. So if we could go to the next slide, please. So developing a plan to maximize your retirement income. So once again, with that chart that we had back in mind with under the mattress and in the bank, save, make it a habit to set aside a little money for retirement, aka the set it and forget it. Try to save every a piece of every paycheck. One of the golden rules too is always pay yourself first. So make sure you do that before you take care of your other expenses and needs. And then invest in assets that may increase in value over time. I'm sure that if everyone on this line had the heads up on Amazon back umpteen ago, we probably would not be on this line. But tapping into those, the AIs and the things to come may be able to help you grow your money and diversify your investments. And you will want to have that conversation with the licensed financial advisor and let them know where your comfort level is with how you want to invest your money. And they can help create a plan for you.
Can we talk about that a little bit more?
Mhm.
How readily available and accessible um, these planners are, where you can find them. Your first conversation usually is free. Just that process, just helping folks that are tuning in understand that that's a resource that they can access, and how to do that.
Of course. So here at PNC, if you are a client of PNC, that resource comes free. And I tell a lot of people the only thing that is going to cost you is your time. If you could give and dedicate at least 20 minutes towards your future, none of us are time travelers, but if you dedicate that 20 minutes to go towards your future, to have that conversation with the licensed financial advisor, tell them where you're at, tell them where you want to go, and ask them how you can get there. I've worked with multiple financial advisors over the years, and they've always been happy and willing to assist clients. So what we do ask is that you bring a total picture to the table. In many situations, some clients have totally forgot about old 401ks. They've forgot about old investment products they may have set aside, or in some situations, when that 18-year-old person grows up, they didn't know that grandma or grandfather or someone, a relative, had set something aside for them, and now they can do something with that. So it's free, and the only thing that it costs you is your time, but you walk away with a peace of mind.
Thank you.
If we can go to the next slide, please. So to Renee's question, the types of plans. So we have employer-based, which are 401k plans, 403bs. Most of the time, those are teachers, any defined benefit plans or pensions. And then you have your traditional IRAs and Roth IRAs. Sometimes the bigger the corporation, the more you have to choose from. Another thing that's not listed here that I've been able to take advantage of is an employee stock program where employees can get stock from their company at a discounted rate. That is also another way of having a savings engine. But most of the time, every company has an HR department, and part of that HR department will assist, at least at PNC, and answer any questions that you may have in regards to the type of plans that your employer offers. And almost one time a year, you're able to, there's an open window for you to enroll in these type of plans. So I would just ask everyone to take heed of that time, to set aside some time to see exactly what's being offered to you as a benefit. And like Renee said, if your employer will match the percent that you're willing to put into your 401k, please take advantage. Some could be as little as 1%. Some companies could be as high as 10% match. It just depends on where you work. And Antoine, do you have anything to add to that?
Absolutely. And it takes us back a few slides ago when we talked about that income replacement needs being anywhere from 70 to 80%. Well, one of the ways that you get to that goal is considering how much you need to save to reach that goal. So let's say, for example, the recommendation is that everyone should save anywhere from 10 to 15% of their current income to meet their retirement goals. And if your employer is offering a match, and let's just say to keep the numbers simple, they're matching you dollar for dollar up to 5%. So if you maximize employer match by saving at least 5%, then that's putting you at that 10% threshold, which is making it a lot easier to meet that goal. And if your employer does not offer a 401k or 403b or any type of defined pension plan, the other way to offset that is to contribute to your own traditional IRA, where with a traditional IRA, it helps you lower your taxable income by giving you that tax write-off today. And that money will compound for you tax deferred. On the other hand, you have the option of a Roth IRA where you will not receive that tax break today, but that money will grow for you tax free as long as you've made your first Roth contribution at least 5 years earlier and you reach age 59 and a half or older. That money can be withdrawn from that Roth IRA tax free. And in your participant guides, it will give you the option to look and see which is right for you as well. Thank you.
And also referring back to those charts that we were just privy to have, um, most people take advantage of that golden age of retirement, where you can still, if you choose to be that person to continue to work past 60 to 65, you can contribute to a retirement plan up to the age of 72 as long as you're earning a taxable income. So if you're just going strong and you're not that type of person to sit at home and be a couch potato or golf all day, then you can continue to work and contribute to that as well. All right, let's go ahead to the next slide. So once again, which plan is right for me? Factors to consider: does my employer match my contributions? Are there any fees? Can I withdraw in case of emergency? Are withdrawals taxed when I deposit? And when I withdraw, will I be in a higher or lower tax bracket at retirement? Am I saving for myself or my legacy, or to leave a legacy? And a lot of people find that to be important to help grow generational wealth and to set up the younger generation in their family so that they can be successful and also have that strong retirement and continue the ball rolling for years to come. But like I said, there's many avenues you can go through. You can probably go through your HR department, visit a local PNC branch. We're more than happy and willing to help any client or non-client. Some other institutions, other big banks have things put in place as well where you can have this conversation with a financial advisor. So the biggest thing I would personally say for myself is, am I saving for myself or a legacy? Because going back to those what ifs, what if I end up in an assisted living home? What if I need care? What if this? What if that? Do I want to place that burden onto my children or family members to now figure out how to take care of me? Or do I want to set something up right now? And then a lot of employers have emergency withdrawals where, hey, you have a huge life event come up, or I even know some that if you're looking to purchase your first home. Now, is that the first way you should go? I would tell you no. But is that an option for you? Some, yes.
And Ashley, one of the common what if questions I often receive is, what if I do not live to make it to retirement? And that's a pretty big what if. And that's why, as you see that last question, am I saving for myself or to leave a legacy? No matter which account type you have, make sure you update your beneficiary, whether it's an IRA, traditional or Roth, or even if it's an employer 401k plan. Make sure your beneficiaries are listed and up to date and current. So that way, if something did happen to you, you have control over who will receive these benefits that you worked so hard to save and invest in your future.
That's such a
And
good point, making sure that you update your information. I was just going to add, once you have your plan in place, make sure that you check into it regularly. A lot of times we set something up and 5 years later, oh yeah, I have this. I have no idea what's going on with it. Um, it it's recommended that at least once a year you check your beneficiaries, and you also just look at what you're investing in. Make sure that it still meets your needs and your goals. Make sure there haven't been fees added to the plan, because maybe when you started, it was operating one way, but it's changed. So just take a look at it every year and make sure that it's still serving you in the way that you originally set it up. And also to the point that was made, sometimes your plans change, and so you can always make changes to what you originally set up. And through your company, there are folks that are there to answer any questions that you have.
right. But going back to what Antoine said about beneficiaries, having beneficiaries set across the board, not only with your retirement options, but with your bank accounts, with any accidental death insurance, making sure the beneficiaries are set in place in the event something could happen, because along with the grieving of you, your family would have to figure out what to do and how to get there if those things aren't put in place. So it just takes a few minutes to make sure everything is locked in for those beneficiaries. So go ahead and go to the next slide, please. So other factors to consider, of course, tax. No one can escape tax as much as we try to, or we wish, or the question is, would you like $1 million? And I always reply, is it tax free? Because if it's not, then it's not truly going to be $1 million. But no one can escape the tax laws. So you want to get to know those when it comes to the type of plan that you have, so that in the event that you may have to take money out of an investment product or a 401k or something like that, you want to know what you're going to be faced with um, if you had to do that. So, in a lot of other plans, like 401(b)(3)s may allow you to take a loan against it. So, you may not pay taxes, but you have to pay the loan back. And if you don't, then you'll have to pay the taxes on the loan balance. So, there's different things that you want to consider. And plan with the purpose. I know sometimes it could seem overwhelming. Okay, you want me to sit down and you want to think about all the what ifs, and well, we won't be able to control the what ifs, but we can all have a plan and plan with purpose and say, you know what, I'm at age 50 and this is where I'm at now. This is what I would like to leave behind or help assist my kids with or family members with. And this is what I want for myself. So always plan with a purpose and have that bigger picture in mind. Then also too, there's some withdrawal limits that your employer or the company that you're doing your investing with may have, fees that may be associated. So always make sure you're looking at all of these factors with your eyes wide open. And then, like I believe Antoine noted, tax bracket. So let's say you do retire, and sometimes retirement can put you in a different tax bracket. So now, when it's time to do those end of year taxes, it maybe look different for you. So you want to make sure you're planning all of that with your FA or someone you know and trust that could help you with these factors. Any additives?
There's one thing that I would add, because one of the things that we also are, or most people think about once they reach retirement, is that I'm at retirement, my home, unfortunately, for whatever reason, it's not paid off. However, I have this money in my 401k plan that I want to take this money out to pay off my home as well as my car. So that way I can go into retirement with no bills. Well, I caution you to think about that question. Like Ashley said, plan with a purpose in mind. Because if you had any earned income in that year and you take that large distribution, and let's say, to keep numbers simple, let's say your earned income the year you retire is $50,000. And then you take out another $75,000 out of your retirement savings to pay off those other large expenses. What does that do to your income? It takes you into it increases your income, which will then take you into a higher tax bracket. And then that's money that you no longer have in the market working for you. So it can, in some ways, slow your retirement savings. So one way of doing it or thinking about it is periodic payments, like you were already doing with your bills, paying them off gradually over time. And likewise, using that retirement savings to take smaller distributions, so that way you stay in a manageable tax bracket. And at the end of the year, hopefully you don't have a large tax bill. And then continue those gradual distributions over time, while using that to supplement your income to then work on reducing that outstanding debt as well.
Thank you. Okay. Slide 16, please. So when we mentioned investing a lot. So investments is just the umbrella of different things that cover different things that will be a savings engine for you. So you have stocks, you have bonds, you have mutual funds. And once again, all these things can be spoken about in detail with a financial advisor, but stocks are essentially a part of a publicly traded company. Big ticket items or big companies like Coca-Cola or Disney, Apple, Tesla, all those come to mind when people talk about stocks. Bonds, you can also lend money to corporations and government agents and earn a fixed income of interest over a certain time. And then mutual funds, you can invest in stocks and bonds, which is a combination, uh, and get you where you're going with that. The goal is to come to the appointment or have some general idea of how and where you want to go, because each of these things can get you to your end destination quicker, and some of these things can get you to your destination a little slower but safer. If you think about, I heard this terminology the other day, I am a fast, safe driver. So you speed, but you speed quickly, but you speed safely. Or I am a slow and steady driver. So you do the speed limit and you obey all the laws and you get to your destination just not as quick as the other person, right? So it depends on how comfortable you are and where you are at in your life and career. Most people who start off in the younger ages, they are the fast, safe drivers. Some people who start off later in life, they are the slow and steady speed limit investors. So they want to protect what they have, but they also want to grow what they have. So all of these things could be talked about at that appointment that you can set. Next slide, please. And at that appointment, this is exactly what your FA should ask you. Low risk, your chance of facing a loss is lower, but your potential return on investment can also be a little longer to get to. Medium risk, you are willing to do some speeding in some areas, but on 75, you want to do the speed limit. And then high risk, you're all in. All the cars are in. Put me where I'm going to grow faster, but also the chance of losing your initial investment could also be at play, and you could lose some of that as well. The 2008, 2009 economic drop, we've seen a lot of that. That is a good example of what could happen for folks who have high risk. It also affected folks with low risk. So everybody across the board was affected during that time. Anything to add to that, Antoine?
Absolutely. When we talk about risk, keep your time horizon in sight as well. Because if we, like Ashley said, in 2008, what we found is that a lot of people that were much closer to retirement, they were heavily invested in high risk investments. Because what was the stock market doing before that downturn? It was growing exponentially. Then all of a sudden, it took a drastic downturn, and it took a few years to recover those losses. So keep your time horizon in sight as well. One thing that I've found many people do is that because they're closer to retirement, they want to get that biggest bang for their dollar before they retire, because the stock market is in a pretty good upswing. But they're only a year or less away from retirement. What's the potential risk of a market downturn? So that's why it's so important to think long term. If you're further away from retirement, you have more time on your side to take more risk by investing in more aggressive investments. But the shorter your time horizon, you may want to reduce some of that risk by investing more in bonds and less in stocks. And I'll turn it back over to you, Ashley.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, so let's head on to our next slide, please. Put your plan in action. Words on paper, words on a note, words in your phone are no good unless you are putting action to those words. So set your goals. First, sit down and just think, where do I want to go? Where do I want to be? What do I want to do? How long do I want to work? Develop your strategy, implement and maintain your plan, and then reflect. And it is very much okay to be at set your goals and say, I don't know what to do after this. This is when the FA comes into play. They're trained professionals who, in many cases that I've worked with, been in the financial investment industry well over 10, 20 years. They've seen the market go up, they've seen the market go down, and these people too have a plan. So a lot of the people I work with that I love the most is that we will present you all the options that we have, and then we will also throw a little touch of personality in there and say, hey, when this happened to me, this was my end goal, or life changed for me and I had to pivot and do this. So being realistic and hearing someone else's plan and how they got to where they're going and what they're doing is very important to hear. And like I said, you don't have to be at step 4. You can come and visit at any step, and we will be more than happy to assist. Or if you are with some other institution, call and ask, hey, how can you guys help me get ready for retirement? So just knowing what you want to do is the very first step.
And Ashley, I'll just add for that, because we plan for birthday parties.
Yep.
For every year in our life, pretty much. We plan for vacation, and vacations usually last about a week. Some people are being a little more expansive and going 2 weeks. But what we sometimes forget to plan for is retirement. And if we keep this in mind, that retirement will be the longest birthday party, the longest vacation we'll ever have. So we should plan as early as possible. Think about it, retirement, 20 to 30 years of nothing but Fridays and Saturdays and Sundays. I talk to my dad every day, and he sometimes forget what the day is because every day is a Friday for him. Retirement will be the same way for you too.
Every Friday would be nice to have. And 2 week vacation will also be very nice to have. So if we could go ahead to the summary. As we learned in this workshop, examining your factors, when, how, where you should retire, learn how to try to estimate those retirement expenses, identify any savings and planning strategies to help you maximize at any age. And that's very important. Don't think that, oh, well, I made it to 55 and there's just no chance for me. There is. Compare the type of retirement plans you have available to you. And once again, going back to setting those goals, because we all would like to have an endless supply of Fridays that we could just do and go as we please. So Renee, I'll turn it back over to you to see if we have any questions.
I want to thank you guys so much for presenting this information. There were so many nuggets of information and resources that I think will be helpful to the community. And I just want to highlight a few of the items that were mentioned today. Start now, plan with a purpose, invest 20 minutes in your future, take action, and be prepared for every day to be a Friday. As mentioned earlier, there is a survey. So if you are tuning in when this is no longer live, go ahead and fill out that survey, and we will make sure that you get the participant hand guide, which has some additional information for you provided by PNC. We want to thank PNC for sponsoring this series. Be sure to check out some of the other sessions that we did online and live. And again, thank you for being here today and providing this information. Let me just double check to see if we have any other questions that have come in. All right, so we're going to go ahead and sign off. Thank you, Ms. Martin and Mr. Little, for joining us today, and we appreciate you bringing this information to the community.
You are more than welcome, and if I can help, I put my information out there for anyone to reach out.
Great. Thank you all for tuning in.
Thank you.